Um, this particular area, you called on me. You called on me, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
just sorry.
Sorry, I thought.
Never known you to be shy, Saeed.
No, time to time.
I don't believe
okay.
that. Go ahead.
It's with old age. Anyway, this area in Serat was an area that the Israelis even did not ask people to evacuate. This is really refugees. They killed 64 people. We don't know how many was killed. You know, what possible advantage? I want to ask you, because the other day you said that maybe Sinwar prefers the safety of the tunnels, the comfort of the tunnels, to coming out and so on. Why would Hamas militants, what possible tactical advantage or strategic advantage for them to be in the school? Isn't it just, that red herring, something that the Israelis could use time and time and time again as, a cover to continue to kill people, considering that 130 civilians were killed in the preceding 24 hours?
The advantage to Hamas, and it is a sickening advantage to them, is that they think they can hide behind civilians and prevent from being struck. And there have been times, I can tell you, there have been times that we know that Israel has passed on taking strikes because there were Hamas militants who were embedded directly with civilians, and they made the decision that they could not take a strike against a militant without causing disproportionate civilian harm. That has happened, and there are militants who were not, there were strikes that they did not take because of that reason. Now, with respect to this one, we need to know exactly what happened. As I said, and as you just pointed out, there are conflicting accounts about what exactly happened here, and that's why we need to get to the bottom of it.
We are no military experts, at least I speak about myself, but one knows from reading so much and so on. The safety of the rubble area, the safety of the destroyed cities and buildings and so on, that becomes a concrete jungle, is a lot safer for these fighters. There would be no incentive whatsoever for them to go and be among their families and so on, because the food is probably better in the tunnels or in these places. Safety is a lot better. Why would they do it? So just anything that Israel can say.
So number one, I just think established exactly why they would do it. Number two, I just don't think as a factual matter it's actually in dispute that they have done it, and they continue to do it. We have seen clear, convincing evidence. Some of that evidence has been made public of them hiding in civilian targets going back before October 7th, and that has continued to be one of their primary tactics since October 7th.
I tell you what.
And I should say, launching, in addition to hiding, launching attacks, launching mortar attacks, and launing other attacks from inside civilian infrastructure.
Not from these areas. I mean, they want to launch attacks where the Israeli military is actually present and so on, not likely in then Sarat where they could be bombed from the air and so on. I mean, this thing that we keep hearing about human shield and so on, I just want to remind you that this is basically an Israeli thing, to the point where the Israeli Supreme Court told them you could not do it. You could not use Palestinian kids as human shields to wrap them around their jeeps and walk into the cities and so on. And in fact, they continue to do it. So what possible? I mean, Israel has no credibility whatsoever to believe what they say, that there are Hamas fighters are hiding there. We have not seen any evidence. They have not shown us any of these people.
What I just said is Israel said to us they're going to release the names of militants that they have killed. If that's true, if they do it, the entire world will be able to see that and judge. But I'm going to wait until we see what happens.
Can I ask you a couple more questions, if I may? Yesterday there was the march into Jerusalem, the old city, and so on. And the marchers just beat the heck out of Palestinian journalists and so on. And Palestinian journalists seem to be at the tail end of recognizing whether in Gaza or in the West Bank and so on. Is there any particular reason for that?
So we have seen the videos of this incident, seen the photos of this incident, and we strongly condemn them. Journalists and media workers are essential to democracy. They should not be attacked anywhere in the world, including in Israel, for doing their jobs. We expect Israel to uphold its stated commitment to human rights and press freedom. We expect them to protect journalists from these kinds of assaults. And if there are violations of criminal law, we expect people to be fully held accountable.
And do you expect Israel to, take what you just said seriously enough to actually abide by that?
I'm going to make clear what the United States expectations are, but we have shown repeatedly that we are willing to have tough conversations with Israel about these matters. Go ahead.
So you said you can't say if it's a U.S. weapon that was used in the school attack. Have you at least pressed Israel to use more strategically, targeted weapons as opposed that could explode widely? And then what is their response to that?
We have at a number of occasions pressed them to use the most precision weapon possible and the smallest weapon possible to achieve a legitimate military aim, so you minimize the the level of civilian harm. That's been something we pressed them really from the outset of this conflict.
And so what is their response to these past two attacks that have used what they say are precision weapons but have been very destructive?
So their claim is that they are using precision weapons and that they're using the smallest weapon possible to achieve the target. Said, we have obviously seen the reports of civilian harm. Obviously, in the incident several weeks ago, you saw a catastrophic consequence when it seemed that the result of the weapon they used was a subsequent fire, a subsequent explosion of some sort that caused tremendous civilian death. And so they need to investigate exactly how that happened. They have an ongoing review of that. As far as I'm aware, it's not been concluded yet. I know we haven't been briefed on any review yet. And with respect to this one, as I said, we need to see what the facts are, and we expect them to make those facts public and be completely transparent about it.
And they're reviewing this one as well. Have you heard that?
I don't know if it's an official review. They have said to us that they are going to release information about that shows what happened, what the strike, what the result of the strike was, and who it was that was killed in the strike. I don't believe they've announced an official review yet, but if there are shown to be civilian deaths, as the reports from the ground appear to show, then we would fully expect them to review that consistent with their code of conduct.
You've said repeatedly transparent, that you're looking for something for the Israelis to be transparent. I mean, the Israelis are basically saying that militants were killed in this. I mean, do you expect them to investigate beyond that, say whether children were killed, civilians were killed, and is there a track record of Israel actually investigating that on the ground?
So, two things. One, with respect to transparency, they have said that they will release the names of those who were killed.
But the names of the militants?
That is what they have said, and we're going to watch and see what they do. If we think any further investigation is warranted after we see the results of what they announce first, we won't hesitate to call on that, as we have in the past. There are incidents that they have reviewed in the past, and as we've said, they have a number of incidents where they have conducted reviews, and those have led to criminal referrals, and they have full-blown criminal investigations. But there are also incidents, and those are not public, but there are other incidents where they have conducted reviews and announced the results publicly. So with the World Central Kitchen strike, for example, they announced the results of the review. They made clear what, from their perspective, had gone wrong and why that strike had happened in the way that it did, and they announced disciplinary actions, including firing against a number of military officials.
Just to put a point on that, I mean, do you think are you basically calling Israel also to identify those who are killed who are potentially non-combatants, who are children? Do you expect Israel to do that?
So we want to know, I don't know if they have any ability to do that, right, unless they're not there on the ground, but we want to know exactly what happened, and we're willing to look at all sources of information to determine that.
Sure. I'm sorry if you covered this before, but I mean, how are you going to know if the list of names that they release is accurate?
So we will. I don't want to prejudge.
I could make up a bunch of names right now and tell you.
It is a good question.
That doesn't necessarily mean that those were actually the people who were killed, or that they were militants.
Yeah, it is a good question. We'll wait and see what it is they release, and if they release any information to back that up. It could be that they really, I don't want to speculate to what they could release to back that up, but we will wait and see what it looks like.
All right, but if it turns out that they name these people and they are confirmed to have been militants, and you are able to, or there's some kind of confirmation that they are in fact the ones who were hit, is that enough for you, even if they don't go into any civilian?
So we also want to see
whether they're identified by the Israelis or not. It's clear that there were.
Well, we also want to see the civilian harm and look at what exactly happened and have a full understanding of that. We've seen the initial reports, but we want to fully understand that. And then the Israelis should want to fully understand that too. They have said that they want to minimize civilian harm. We've impressed upon them the importance of that, so they should want to know that information too.
And I apologize because maybe I missed this while I ran out. But did they say that they would go into the details on any civilians who were killed?
They have made clear initially that they would release information about it. I don't have the full details about what they would say.
So they've essentially, as far as what you understand, they've said that they will release the names of the militants
and other details. I don't know what those details will include because they haven't done that yet.
Thanks.